All right, you're recording now.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right. Well, I'm pretty sure you all had a very interesting week. A lot of things are going on in the world, a lot of challenges you may be faced with. We don't want to be asleep to the idea that we do have challenges in our lives. Very busy week. Some of us are, working and doing business and, you know, dealing with our health, dealing with our finances, just dealing with a lot of different challenges. And So life is life, and this is what we've been given. This is where we're at. And I'm so thankful today that we have the Torah to reflect upon and to go to get more understanding about how we are to live our lives, especially now that we understand that we've been placed in exile, and and that's because of our disobedience, and it's because our inability to listen and to hear what the Most High has spoken. This week's Torah portion is a very important one. I'm going to do my very best not to get emotional because you know me, I could either start yelling and screaming or I could start crying. It just depends on how I'm feeling. And the reason why I do that is simply it's not an act, it's not a show, it's the reality of what I can actually see. Um, how bad it really is, and how serious this is. This is a very serious situation that we're in as a people. But let's get started in our lesson. And also to feel free to write down your questions, and I'll be able to answer those questions, or during the study. This is open dialogue. So feel free to, you know, to push that button to raise your hand, and I'll go ahead and give you a response and let you know that I'm ready to answer your question. So let me see. So let's see. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Wonderful. This in particular week's Torah portion is called Mishpatim, Mishpatim. And I want to give you some insights that I picked up this week, um, that I think are very important for us, especially because these are things that we've never discovered, or nothing we've ever known before. Um, let's open up by understanding who the Most High is, okay, and what his expectations are, and what he's literally given to us as his people. In Psalms 99, it says, "Let them praise your great and fearsome name, for he's set apart. The mighty king who loves justice, you establish fairness, justice, and righteousness in Yaakov." The word there for justice, everyone, is our topic that's at hand today called Mishpatim. And I placed this here because I want us to understand something, that the Most High has given us insight to who he is. He has revealed to us the very thing that he loves, and that is to have justice, that is to have equity, that is to have fairness, that is to have righteousness. And so he's placed this in our families. And so it's imperative for us to know how to respond or how to act when it comes to dealing with the Most High. Okay. He's given it to Jacob. He hasn't given this to anyone else. And so if you don't know, Mishpatim means judgments. Okay. And basically, judgments are primarily just decisions that have already been made. Okay. So the Most High is revealing what he sees in his eyes as being the right decisions and what needs to happen. Okay, so we've read chapters number 21, 22, 23, and a little bit of 24. And so we're going to touch on a little bit of each of those chapters today. Okay, all of the only photograph that I have here is this crown. And you might ask yourself, well, what does this have to do with Mishpatim? Our Elohim is a king, okay? And this is something that we need to understand. He's just not some spirit just flying around in the heavens. He's actually a king, and he has subjects, and he's over everyone and everything. And so there's a high level of dignity and majesty that the Most High has. And also, too, within his judgments and his decisions, they're coming from a place of royalty. They're coming from a place of his majestic power. And so these things are what the Most High has revealed to us. Okay. Um, if you read your Psalms this week, these are not just readings. Let me turn this off because I'm getting a little backdrop here. Let me see something. Let me see something real quick. If you read your Psalms this week, it's telling us a story. Okay. Is letting us know about what the Most High is going to do. Okay, because that's what we're all in this for. We're not just in this to learn how to live. We really want to know what's going to happen. This is the reason why he talks to us. This is the reason why he's communicating with us. This is the reason why the Torah was written. This is the reason why he had the kings of Israel read the Torah. This is the reason why Dawid wrote the Psalms. This is the reason why the Levi'im were involved in writing down these songs, okay, and these poems and this poetry. What's found in this is are lessons, encouragement, but there's also prophecy, okay? So beginning in chapter number 90, I said 92, when he begins to talk about the Sabbath, it goes all the way till chapter number 99. Okay. And in those chapters from 92 to 99, the Most High is being proclaimed as a king. Okay. And so here is telling us what is going to happen. So when it says Yahweh is king, let the earth rejoice, let the many coasts and the islands be glad, and the clouds and thick darkness surround him, right? So this is indicative of what the children of Israel saw at Mount Sinai. Righteousness and justice, which are mishpat, are the foundation of his throne. Okay. So we're working the foundation, the establishment of Yahweh's authority and power is found in the Mishpatim. It's found in the righteousness. That's what it's found in. And that's what the throne is established upon. This is what our king sits upon. This is how he operates. This is what the nations are waiting for. They're waiting for justice. They're waiting for righteousness. The islands and the coastlands is telling them to be prepared and to get ready to rejoice because things are about to change. Things are about to change for people. Okay. And you and I we have been made privy to the Most High's Mishpatim. That's a wonderful thing. Again, in that same chapter, he says, fire goes before him. Hear this, setting ablaze his foes on every side. He flashes lightning, right? His flashes of lightning light up the world. So let's pause for a second. It's giving us an illustration about what the coming of Yah is going to be like. So there's going to be fire. There's going to be lightning that's going to light up the whole entire world. The earth sees it. Okay. Not just the inhabitants, the earth itself sees this and it trembles. And the mountains melt like wax at the presence of Yahweh, at the presence of the master of all the earth. So when you were reading this week about a master, and you were reading this week about servants, and you were reading this week about responsibility and ownership, we were reading about these things, the Most High is giving us a clue about what he's looking for. So this is a prophetic preview about what it's going to be like. Now, the reason why he's talking about the judgment, and he's talking about the Mishpatim, and he's talking about the righteousness, is because that's the reason why he's coming back. That's the reason why he's coming back. This is the reason why fire's coming. This is the reason why he's going to light up the whole entire world. This is the reason why everybody should rejoice, because righteousness and judgment is coming. And the Most High is the one who is going to bring that about. He's going to administer justice. The Torah and Mishpatim is about life. That's what it's about. It's about human life. It's about animal life. It's about the life of the land. It's all about life. If you notice, there was the idea on how one should make sure that they don't boil a lamb or a goat in its mother's milk. Why? Why would he say that? Why is that so important to him? Is it the lamb or is it the goat that he's concerned with? Yes. Is it the life of the lamb? Yes. Is it the mother that he's concerned with? Yes. When he talks about humankind and the servants and the male servants and the female servants, and he's talking about how people are unalived, how their accidents are happening, how people are not guarding, he's talking about human life. When he's talking about the Shabbat, he talks about the land, about how one is supposed to give the land rest. How is one supposed to give humanity a rest? How the animal life is supposed to have rest? Because that's all stemmed in the Mishpatim. It's all connected. And what has happened to us as a people is that we've been misinformed and we've been miseducated about how Yah works. He says, my people don't know how I work. They don't understand how I'm working. What we like to do as his people, all of us, is we like to chop down what he said in order so it can fit our narrative, so it can make sense for us. We haven't accepted these words as they are set apart, that they're the words of the king. It came from the crown. It comes from the kingdom. It comes from his dominion. These are exclusive words. These are words that no one else has heard but the children of Israel, that has to do with life. Mishpatim, everyone, is about dignity, which is honor and respect, and upholding the rights of individuals, right? Which talks about the value. There's a value proposition not only for humanity, but animals and land. All of it is connected. So when the Most High is giving us his judgments, he's literally teaching us not only how to live, but to understand why. We know sometimes the how, but we really don't know the why. We got to know the why. That's what we're after. Why is it? Why is it that Yah loves judgment? Why is it? He says, for I am Yahweh, I'm loving judgment. I love mishpat. And I'm hating robbery for burnt offerings. Oh, praise be to God. Why does he love it so much? He loves it so much that he's given us something that he loves. Oh, praise. Remember, I don't want you to lose sight of the beginning that said that the nations and the islands and everyone's going to rejoice because Yah is bringing judgment. He's going to settle the score. He's going to give everybody their dignity, and they're going to get their respect that's owed to them. Oh, praise be to Yahweh. See, often we make the mistake of thinking that we can push people and we can make people do what we want them to do, because we know that we deserve respect. We know that we deserve honor. We're not getting the honor that we deserve as a people. We're not getting the honor as we deserve as husbands. We're not getting the honor that you deserve as wives. You're not being respected. You're not being respected as a servant. You're not getting the rights that are owed to you. You're being cheated on every hand. And we like to resolve that issue right now. And the Most High says, he has not resolved it for himself. So, how is it that you and I think that we can resolve things in the way that the Most High says, and he himself has not even resolved it? He's not getting the respect, he's not getting the honor and the dignity that's due to his name. As you read in the Psalms, it says, let everybody give Yahweh the glory that's due to his name. So, what he's telling us is there's a time that the Most High is going to bring about this judgment. Okay. It's not just the scary thing about the whole earth catching on fire and he burning up his enemies and lightning and all those things. It's a demonstration of his power. But that's all connected to what is right and what is fair and what is just. So we should look forward to the judgment of the Most High because he loves it. And the question is do you and I love it? Do you and I love judgment? Do we love to stand for that which is right? That's the question. In Mishpatim, there were laws, okay, and there are penalties. So you'll find that there's penalties for going against these laws that he set out, right? So when we say, "Oh, are they laws?" The Torah is the instructions which they erroneously call the law. They're just instructions on how to do the things that the Most High is asking us to do. It's just instructions. Okay. The Mishpatim, which means don't chop down the Torah, is inclusive of the Mishpatim. We can't lose that sight, right? Can't lose sight of that. So the Mishpatim is spelling out what the decisions are for when someone does something that's wrong. For example, with the ox, a person who steals any ox or sheep or whatever, they got to pay double. But then you turn around and said anyone that stole an ox or a sheep and they sacrificed it or they sold it and it's no longer in their possession, they got to pay 5 times for an ox, 500%, 400% for a sheep. So why the difference? Why on one hand he says you're going to pay double because it's still in your possession, right? And then on the other hand he says, well, you sold it or you sacrificed it. So how do you balance out taking one ox and then having to pay back 5? That seems unfair, doesn't it? Right? If you and I were just to look at it. But when we look at the idea of Mishpatim, what we're talking about are the scales of justice. Things have to balance out. Okay. So let me take a moment right quick and give you somewhat of an illustration to let you know what I'm talking about. Okay. And anytime you talk about judgment, you're talking about justice. Okay. So we have a scale here. Okay. There's a scale, just like you have in your courtrooms. Okay. All right. And on this scale, you have to make sure that it is balanced or level. Okay. You got to make sure it's level. If it's not level, if one is up and the other one is down, that's inequity or inequality. Okay. That's not going to work. Everything has to have balance. Okay. So the reason why the Most High says that the person who stole the one ox, right, has to pay back double if he finds it, right? So it's 1 for 2. So the first one is what was stolen. Within this 2, okay, you have 1 plus 1. Okay. So you're giving back 1 plus another 1, right? So when you steal it, right, one of the oxen goes to this one, to the one that you stole. Well, what is this other one for? What is that other ox for? What does that signify? Because if it's balanced, 2 oxen don't equal 1 ox from our perspective, the way that we look at it. From Yahweh's perspective, 1 ox that is stolen, that's still in the possession of someone, is equivalent to the ox that was stolen and the other ox that needs to be made up, right? So the offense itself is worth an ox. The offense itself is worth an ox. So you're returning the initial ox, and then you're going to give another ox because of the offense. So what is he telling us? He's telling us someone steals something from you. They steal $100 from you, give you $100 back. You think that that's just. It's not. They got to pay for the extra. They got to pay for the crime. You got to pay for the crime. See, so when people tell us, when I was growing up, there was a slogan that says crime doesn't pay. They put that on television. But crime does pay. Crime does pay. Crime should be paid. because you're benefiting, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. There are some benefits from committing crimes for you in Yahweh's realm, and Yahweh's in his dominion. There are benefits when you get caught stealing. There's benefits. Okay, you're going to learn. Okay, because he's going to teach you through your crime. You're going to be truly rehabilitated. And you're going to walk away not because you did some prison time, not because you paid it back. He's going to give you an opportunity to really think about what you've done and what the cost is and what the expense is. Okay. So for you and I, we would think, well, this doesn't matter to us because you and I don't have any oxen. Maybe the Mishpatim doesn't apply to you and I, does it? Well, I don't have an ox. I don't have a donkey. Nobody's a slave, right? We're not enslaving anybody, so that's not applicable. This is the reason why the people say the New Testament is not applicable, because they look at it and they can't find how it applies to them. Because the Most High has not opened up their eyes to see and their ears to hear the wonderful things that are found in the Torah. Okay, so this has to be about equity. Okay, so when you think about the 1 to 5, the 500%, we understand something. Looking at that balance again, because remember, we're here to learn. I'm not here to preach to you. I'm here to teach, right? So if you got the 1 ox and you got to repay the 5 oxen, okay, then let's look at it. Okay, so you stole 1, so you're going to get 1 out of there. So -1 for the ox itself. Okay, it's going to bring you down to 4. Okay, so the first ox replaces this one. Okay, so replacement. You got 4 ox left. Well, of course, we know about double. If you stole, you got to pay another one just for the act of stealing, right? Just from the theft alone, right? There's another ox that you got to pay. So that leaves us with what? We got 3 left. So then he says, well, you stole it, so there's an ox there, and now you got 3 left. You got 3 more to pay for. Why 3? Okay. The other one is, well, there's a penalty because it's not in your possession. So possession, right, is no longer in your possession. You owe 1 for that. So it leaves you with 2. So you got 2 ox left. Okay, well, what's left? Oh, well, not only is it not in your possession, but you sold it. Okay, so now you got the 2 minus the 1 for selling. It leaves you with 1. Oh, you sacrificed it. Okay, so you made a sacrifice. You subtract that 1 from 1, it leaves you with 0. So why is he charging you extra 2 for selling and sacrifice? Because there's a possibility that if you did steal it and it was sold, it was sacrificed. Why? Because you're trying to get rid of it. You're trying to get rid of your crime. So that's how the Most High gives the 5 to 1. That's why on the scale it's like that. So when we're looking at it, it's hard for us to understand these things because we don't have the ox. We don't have the sacrifices. So we don't think none of this applies. It's the principles behind it that Yah is trying to teach us about the judgment. Because it's about his laws. It's about the penalties that go along with it. It's about the payment. And it's also, too, about the equity. It's about fairness. You see? So that's what Mishpatim includes as well. It's not always about if, okay? If someone does something. And it's not always about when. But I will tell you, when I was reading the Torah portion this week, I was looking at whether it was the if or when. And what was happening was they were using the word if all the time. And that was coming from the English translation. The Hebrew translation gave both of the whens. Oh, come on. Work for me. The Hebrew talks about the when as well as the if, okay? But the when is the primary. Yes, Michelle.
So the ifs and the whens appear because all the Mishpatim that were given were based on the things that the people of Israel were doing prior to leading to these Mishpatim being issued.
Yes. So
So this is why you have if and when.
yes. So the thing is, though, is that is the if does not precede the when. The when comes first. And then after it happens, then there's a lot of conditions. It's like, possibilities. Okay. So when means that it is going to happen. Right. So when we read this and we're reading if, and that's not the truth. The truth is when this happens. And if it's the circumstances of the when, meaning like if this happens, right? I mean, when this happens, and if this happens within that, then this is the action I want you to take. So why is the Most High letting us know it's not about just the ifs? Why did the English translations put that there? Because they're trying to clean it up. Okay, they're trying to clean up this idea about the infinitive absolutes. Okay, which means things are certainly, or there's a lot of certainty about what's going to happen. Okay, you hear me talk about this all the time. Okay, so the idea behind a infinitive absolute from a Hebraic perspective or grammatical perspective is that these things are going to happen. Okay, it's not if they're going to happen, it's when they're going to happen. Okay, it's inevitable that it's going to happen. Do you understand? Okay, so it's inevitable. Okay, that's what he's telling us. It's inevitable. All right. So what are the things that are inevitable? There's disagreements that are going to happen. Okay, so the Most High's laws are never going to change. Okay, so what is he telling us is when the disagreements happen, then this is going to happen, right? And within that disagreement, if this happens, this is the action I want you to take. There's always going to be physical confrontation. There's always going to be arguments. There's always going to be malicious intent. You can't get away from it. It's not if it happens, it's when it happens. There were some other things too that I wanted to make sure that you understood about infinitive absolutes. One of the things that you know for certain is death. Death is for sure. That is inevitable. It's going to happen. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Okay? Healing. Oh, praise be to the mighty Yah. It's not something that we saw in our Torah portion. In the Hebrew, it tells you, if you beat someone up or they had a fight and they gotta heal themselves, they gotta rest until they can go walk around outside with their own cane. He says, and then healing, they will be healed. That's an infinitive, meaning that's going to happen. It's when it's going to happen. So healing will happen. Punishment. Okay. Punishment is always going to happen. That's an infinitive absolute. There's nothing that you and I can do to change that. Stoning, payments, reparations, finding out, discovery, theft, the tearing of beast, all the infinitive absolutes that were in your Torah portion is dealing with things that when it's going to happen. So the Mishpatim is supposed to help us understand and to discover not the possibility, okay, but the absolute. And if you know this, okay, if you know that this is going to happen, then you would be better apt to prepare for it. Go ahead, Mishal.
Well, I guess what I would like to know, what are the words being used for when and if, the Hebrew words?
The Hebrew word for when, okay, is this word called ki. Okay, ki. The Hebrew, that's for when. Okay. If it's if, okay, if it's going to be a Hebrew word called im. If. Okay. So they're different. They're completely different. They're not so, and when the English translators are putting this in there, they're working from their perspective. They're not understanding. They're trying to let you think that it can't happen, and it will happen. So if you're you know, if there's a mistranslation, there's a misunderstanding, or there's a misinterpretation, you're going to take it and think that it can't happen. And therefore, you're not going to be prepared. You're not going to know how to respond to it. And that's what the judgments are for. The judgments is to teach us that, okay, you know this is coming. You have knowledge of it. If you know that he's telling us there's disagreements, there will be disagreements. Don't act like everybody kumbaya, holding hands and singing kumbaya. That's not going to happen all the time. There will be physical confrontation. So you got to ask yourself the question, if the Most High is giving judgments and he's giving out the rulings and laying it out for us, what is he saying about us? Is he just saying, he said, I've given this and set this in fairness and justice and equity in the family of Yaakov. Why? Because he knows within the family there's going to be disagreements, physical confrontation, and there's going to be some malicious intent. There's going to be theft. That is an infinitive absolute. So he's telling us, just like a beast will end up, a predator will end up tearing some helpless little animal in pieces, or an ox in pieces, so will humanity go ahead and steal. Humanity is going to steal. That's in us. You're going to get upset. You're going to fight. You're going to get angry. So get prepared. Yah knows who we are. So if these things are not going to change, then it makes things our reality. Okay? So we're not working from some spiritual, idea that this is never going to happen again. That's why when you hear Christians, especially talking, they always talk about, this, Michelle, when we're on TikTok or YouTube or wherever we're at, they like to argue and be contentious with us. And then we're like, hey, they thinking, hey, you're saying this, but, we supposed to be working out of love. And there is this, and we're in the spirit. You just don't understand the spiritual world. No, you're not living a reality. So the crown, the Mishpatim that you and I are receiving, is supposed to keep us in the now. We're supposed to be in reality, because that is reality. Here's a reality about someone who is operating, okay, in a very malicious way. Okay? Hold on for a second, Michelle. If her master married her, talking about the slave girl, but decides she no longer pleases him, meaning in his eyes, then he is to allow her to be redeemed. Period. Stop right there. Religiously, we would think, hey, he just didn't, she's not doing the right thing, but that's not the case. In the Hebrew, it talks about how the Most High said that this man is being treacherous towards this woman. He didn't go and purchase her to be his wife. He didn't pay a dowry to be his wife. And if he did, that was never his intention. He's malicious. He only did a deal so he could turn around and sell her to someone else. Therefore, in the Hebrew, it says, you don't have the ability to mashal. You don't have the ability, you don't have the dominion, you don't have the right to sell her to a stranger, because he dealt treacherously with her. Here it is. He is not allowed to sell her to a foreign people because he has treated her unfairly. That's what he's done. He was looking for reasons why he shouldn't keep her, because he never really wanted her as a wife. And I want you sisters to understand something. When a man is dealing with you in a way that is treacherous and you have to be redeemed, it's simply because it is a dangerous situation. The Most High puts here, you have to allow her to be redeemed because she is in danger with this man. This man is dangerous because he has nothing but malicious intent, and Yah is making it clear that everybody is not in it for love. Everyone is not in it to do that which is right. Everybody, they have their own agenda, their own motivation. That's the reason why he wanted. It was a business deal.
It was a dangerous situation. And the Most High says you have to allow her to get out of that dangerous situation. And you're not to sell it to a foreign people because that would be even a more dangerous situation for her. And if she's supposed to be married, she's supposed to have treated with respect and dignity. You're supposed to give her clothing. You're supposed to give her conjugal visits. You're supposed to have intercourse with the woman. Hebrew talks about onah. Onah means an answer. It's an appointed time to give an answer to her. It's supposed, when she has that urge, you're supposed to answer her. That's what this is about. The daughters of Israel have judgments that apply to them and protections that the Most High gave to his daughters. Now, let's don't get this twisted. The Most High here is not talking about a woman that wasn't sold as a slave girl, because this in particular situation here, this is a young woman who, almanah, who was sold by her father, probably for debt or whatever it was, in order to him to get out of the situation he's in. And this man comes along and says, I'm going to offer some money and I can help you out of your situation. But he doesn't have good intentions for this young woman. He doesn't. Okay? But it's a dangerous situation. These are the types of behaviors. Look, let me be clear. I didn't want to see it, but I saw it. I told you I'm going to do my best to be Akika, and I'm just going to be who I am. I found in this week's Torah portion that the people of Yah are cruel people. There's some people that's in the family of Yah that is just cruel. They operate and they feed off of cruelty. They feed off of oppression. They feed off of malignity. They feed off of treachery. They feed off of it. I didn't want to see it. Like a lot of us, we don't want to acknowledge that we were a people of cruelty. We were a people of oppression. And we use what happened to us as the excuse to continue on that sickness that's still going on today. Here it is. Whoever curses his father and mother must be put to death. Why is Yah telling us this? What is this cursing? Oh, I spoke to you and I called you a bitch, or I said some curse words at you. You think that this is what the Most High is talking about? No. He's talking about if a child or a young adult or an adult loses respect and dignity for the position of a father or mother, I'm going to put you to death. The moment your mother becomes like a woman on the street to you, I'm going to put you to death. The moment your father's word doesn't have any weight, I'm going to put you to death. You understand? Because that's coming from the king. This is not being taught to us. You understand? So who are we dealing with that says if you mistreat your parents, if you treat what they say lightly, and you have no regard and no respect, and you don't listen to what's being spoken to you, not just as a child, but as an adult, and you cross that line, I'm going to put you to death. Because you don't respect authority. You don't have any respect or dignity for the ones that the Most High gave you. You're going to be put to death. That's from the king. That is what gives glory to the crown, is to get rid of individuals who cross the line. If a person beats his male and female slave with a stick so severely that he dies, he's to be punished. That means that he's going to be unalived. He's going to receive justice. It has to be justice for justice. But look at the cruelty. Look at what somebody would do to go so far to beat someone so severely that you would kill them. That right there, when I told you there was an infinitive absolute, punishing, he will be punished. Avenged will be avenged. Vengeance will happen. We're talking about the crown. We're talking about Mishpatim. We're talking about equity. We're talking about fairness. Because this is why the Most High is coming to the earth. To bring this, you understand? So he comes and he finds individuals who are not doing what he said, who doesn't want to live by this. The individuals who don't want to live by being accountable for their actions. The individuals that don't feel like they have to make a payment for what they've done. Not even trying to make it right. Equity is about payment. It's about benefits, giving people what they deserve. Being accountable, not being irresponsible, being accountable. You hear me? So when you read this week about this idea of shalom, right? There won't be any shalom without shalom. I need you to hear what he's saying. There will not be any shalom without any shalom. They share the same three letters, the shin, the lamed, and the mem. It looks like shalom, but it's not a shalom. It means to restitution. It means to be made whole. You're not made whole just because somebody gave you back what they stole. There's something still missing in you as a person. There's still a void that needs to be filled when somebody went ahead and they disrespected you. The moment they stole any dignity from you, it has to be paid. Because you belong to the Most High and he doesn't want you to walk around with any voids. You have to be made whole. This is the reason why he says, if any harm follows, then you are to give life for life. Nefesh for nefesh. Ayin, ayin. The shame, which is the tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burn for burn, and wound for wound, and bruise for bruise. What is he saying? You're going to be held responsible for your actions. You take a life, you're losing your life. You exchange your action for that life. If you were going to beat your servant so bad that you knock out their eye or you knock out their tooth because you're bent on cruelty, you got to let that person go free. If you did this to someone in a fight, you're going to have to pay for that. You're not going to lose your eye. You're going to pay for that. Yes, Michelle.
So who would avenge the slave that the owner put to death? That's it doesn't detail who would be the avenger.
It does give a detail. Do you remember where it says that the Most High? It was right in there, tucked in. I think it's chapter number 21, verse number 15, 16, and 17. He tells us the first time, he says, if anybody gets in a fight and kills someone, that person is multi-mot, they're going to die. Then he turns around and says something about, in that context, it says, if the Most High delivered you into their hand, you died just because the Most High delivered that person.
I'm sorry. I was referring to one.
I know what you're referring to.
Oh, okay.
The Most High is going to deliver them into the hand of someone else to lose their life. He's going to deliver that person into the hands of someone to lose their life. And because he delivers individuals into the hands of other people, he gives the person that he used a place to go for safety. Yah delivers people into the hands of people to be unalived. That's what he does. If justice needs to be met out, he will cause it to where you end up being killed by someone, and he just used them by an accident. He's not talking about a direct murder. What he's saying is somebody's axe is going to fly off. You had no contention, no argument with them, and you're out there cutting wood with your friend, and you think everything is normal. All of a sudden, the axe handle flies off, it hits you, and you die. Why'd they die? Because Yah gave a decree for them to die by that way. What happens to the person who did it? It was an accident. There was no contention. They go to the place of the city of refuge. So to answer your question, in particular, master who has done this, it says he's going to be avenged. The vengeance is from Yah. Now, the Torah doesn't give very specific details like, okay, you're going to be walking down the street and this is going to happen. I'm going to send a lion, or, you know what I mean? It could be anything that he wants to do. But here's the point.
Kika, I got a question when you finish.
Okay. Go ahead and ask your question before I get started. Go ahead.
No. It's just I mean, on your point, it doesn't say that also that if the stranger cries out and he hears that you're being cruel, that he's going to unalive you and make you know,
Yeah, you're
widows.
close. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah, you're there. We're gonna cover that. That's great. You're right there. So now we can see the benefits of all of us reading the Torah because we have these questions, they need to be answered. Okay. So because the individual is acting as if they are not being accountable and they feel like they don't have any payments, the Most High is letting us know within his Mishpatim, within his rulings, it's going to be very costly for the people and the individuals that are walking around that are clueless and acting like they don't know what's going on, and the ones that are careless. That's what it's going to be. The clueless and the careless are the ones, right? The ones who don't have a clue and the ones who don't care are the ones who are going to pay. That's who's going to pay. Those are the ones who have to be held accountable. Here's an example. Okay. However, if the ox was in the habit of gorging in the past and the owner was warned but did not confine it so that it ended up killing a man or a woman, then the ox is to be stoned, which is one of the infinitives, and its owner too is to be put to death. So what are we supposed to learn from this? What we're learning from this is the individual who did not have any care. They were careless. They didn't care about life. They didn't care about protection. In the Hebrew, it says they didn't guard. He never guarded. He was warned about it, but he didn't even confine. He didn't guard it. So it's about guarding. So he didn't guard life. He's caring. He don't care. And as a result of that, he needs to be unalived. Okay. Then it says another example of someone who removes a cover from a cistern or digs one, meaning a pit, and he fails to cover it. So there's failure there. And an ox or a donkey falls in. The owner of the cistern must make it good. That means shalem yashalem, meaning payment, you got to make it good. By the loss, by compensating the animal's owner by the dead, but the dead animal will be his. So what are we to learn from this? Because you're not being careful and you're being careless, you're going to pay. It might be that you might have to pay with your own life if it had to be. See, so do you see the life for life? If you didn't guard, then that's considered to be intentional. You understand? If you fail to guard, or if you fail to cover, there's a cost that you got to pay. It might be an animal, but it might be you. So how does this apply to us? How is this applicable? This is applicable because the Most High is letting you and I know he's putting us on notice. If you're not guarding life and you're not protecting, you're not covering, and you're not aware, and you're walking around and moving carelessly and making moves in any aspect of your life, don't think that there ain't a cost for that. You're going to pay. That's what he's telling us. Shalem yashalem. Now, what are we to understand about the Mishpatim for the house of Israel? Well, he's already told us that, hey, I'm going to set this in the family. I'm going to set this in the family, right? And he's talking about common sense, because a person is careless. They're the ones who's not thinking. They lack common sense. When I was growing up, my grandmother told me you can go a long way. She said, people, you can go a long way if you got some common sense. A long way. All you need is common sense. Okay? So common sense and guardianship is what we're talking about, the Mishpatim, for the house of Israel. Okay? That's what we're talking about. Okay? So what I liken this to, everyone, is called the crown of common sense. Okay? So our Elohim is the one with the crown. He's the king. And he's saying that the individuals that are in his realm, okay, the house of Israel, are going to have to understand that they have to live in common sense. They're going to have to understand the common sense of the crown. They're going to have to understand what this means. It means that the Mishpatim does not make allowances for irresponsibility. It doesn't. But it primarily deals with accountability. because your mistakes can cost you, just like you saw in the examples that we just read. They needed to be judged. They have to be judged. Now let's look at a worldview. Do you not think that the people who are doing the things that they're doing today should not be judged? They're going to be judged. But how they're going to be judged versus how the house of Israel is going to be judged are two different things. Listen to this. The crown of common sense literally is having our focus on guardianship. Okay. So you and I can start thinking, and so we can be more proactive instead of just being reactive. Like something happens, then that's when we respond. After it's happened, that's when we want to take action. No. The crown of common sense is dealing with what a person has, which is previous knowledge. They have known in the past, but they never tried to rectify the situation. And the reason why there is no rectification is simply because the individual is lazy and they refuse to deal with the problems that exist right in front of them right now. This is not just about an ox or a donkey. This is just not about a pit. This is about how we have knowledge. We know something about the past. So the Most High is saying, okay, well, the children of Israel, the house of Israel, I told you what the situation is. I've warned you. I'm letting you know. I'm putting you on notice. I'm giving you knowledge about what's happened in the past so you can rectify the situation. Stop being lazy. There is a problem in front of us. There's an issue that needs to be resolved, and it's our responsibility to curb the danger before it gets out of hand and someone loses their life, and even to the point of you losing your own lives. The crown of common sense tells us that we as a people, as the house of Israel, have to address potential threats. And we look at these threats heads on. We attack it from when we see it. We don't ignore it. How often do we walk around in our lives and we know there's a problem and we still won't deal with it? I'll give an example. I'll speak about myself. I've been having a dripping water faucet outside of my house for the last 6 months. And I was like, I can fix it. I can fix it. I can fix it. I know I can do it. Something within me said, well, how long are you going to do this? You're going to wait till it keeps, to the house is, the foundation is compromised by the water that you're letting sit there to develop termites. You see there's a problem, fix it. No matter what it is, because at the end of the day, it's still going to cost. So it cost me, $900? But I had another guy come out and told me it's going to cost me $2,500 about 6 months ago. I said, man, that's a lot of money. I can fix this myself. So I'm making excuses. But I didn't do any research. I didn't do any investigation. I didn't look. I just took what he said and got afraid and said, no, I can do it myself. That's not wise. Whatever is in front of us, you have to look at different ways to resolve the issue. Don't let it go. Now, there's not a problem. There's no problem. Kids are telling the mother, hey, seems like the water pressure's down a little bit. I had the water pressure when the guy came out, it's 50 PSI. He's like, yeah, it's good, but you still got a leak. I said, okay, good. Glad we got it done. There's always a cost. So we got to head this off. So we can't leave any space, okay? I want you to understand this. I'm talking about the crown of common sense from the creator of the heavens and the universe is telling us, don't you make any space or any room for any development for anything that could cause us harm, physically, spiritually, or economically. If any of this happens to you, you had something to do with it. You have to fix it. You have to hedge it off. You have to get to it before it gets to you. You got to get to it. Some of us have problems with deceit and lying and embellishing the truth. And we ain't dealt with it. Some of us have problems with authority and just trying to ignore it instead of accepting it. Right? It's what the Most High has prescribed. Some of us have problems, making up our mind about certain things. Some of us have health problems where we just keep giving ourselves more time, thinking that it's going to change, and it's not going to change. It goes back to the idea about not if, it's when. It's not if it's going to happen. It's happening now. It's when it's happened. So let's not live in the if. Let's live in the when, because it's going to happen. By us hedging this off, everyone, with this idea of the crown of common sense, we have to think about it as like an enemy that's marching towards us, that's taking some advancement on us, who's coming to gain some ground around us. What are you and I supposed to do when we see that happening? Are you supposed to just sit there and just let something happen to you? Or are you supposed to make a move? Make a move. Make it happen, because no one else is going to make it happen for us. We have to make it happen for ourselves. Like I said, and I cry my heart out. No one's going to help the children of Israel except for the Most High. And the Most High is not going to help the children of Israel until the children of Israel decide that they're going to do this work that nobody else wants to do. It's a self-work that you and I got to do on ourselves. There's work that needs to be done. And we can't do it without having a sense of self-awareness. We have to have a mindfulness. We have to live in the present, the here and the now. This is our reality. It's not something you and I are making up. This is a reality. We have to deal with that. The judgments of Yah are the reality. This is what you and I are going to be judged for. Were you careful or were you careless? Huh? Were you proactive or were you reactive? Huh? Did you hurt somebody and thought you ain't gonna pay? You don't have to pay, and you didn't make no attempt, and you knew about it? You think that's gonna go? You think the Most High is like a human being, is gonna let it slide because somebody told you that they saved you and died on the cross? Is that what you think? The judgments of Yah, they're a gift. They are a gift to us. And the reason why they're a gift to everyone is because Yahweh is helping his people. He's helping us to recognize the importance of being careful and not careless. It's Yahweh's way of helping his people. He's helping us to come to an understanding about his Mishpatim, his rulings, his decisions. Why? Because they bring dignity. They bring self-respect, but they also bring splendor to the crown of the Most High. There is a group of individuals that you found in your Torah portion and we talk about all the time. They're the vulnerable. These are the high-risk categories of the people that you would find in the Torah. The crown, the Mishpatim, deals with concern, care, and compassion for these individuals. These individuals, as you know, are divided into different categories. One is the stranger, the other one's the widow and the fatherless, and the other one's the poor. Going back to what Dawid had mentioned earlier about what is the Most High going to do? What is his judgment? What is his rulings on how it's going to deal with the stranger and the foreigner? You should know what it was to be a stranger and foreigner. You know the soul of a stranger and a foreigner. You know what it feels like to be taken advantage of. You know what it feels like to be exploited. You know what it means to be oppressed. You know what it is. Now let's be clear. These are the words of the Most High. Now let's keep it in context too. These words, the Mishpatim, everyone, is a continuation of Yah speaking to Moshe on behalf of the children of Israel. The children of Israel did not want to hear Yah continue speaking with them. These are the words that they were supposed to hear. He says, hey, these are the judgment, the Ele de HaMishpatim, that you're supposed to set before them. Because they decided not to listen to me, but Moshe, so you need to go and tell them what I said. And one of the things that stuck out to me in this Torah portion, you are not to abuse any widow or orphan. If you do abuse them in any way, and they cry to me, I will certainly, going back, what it talked about infinitive absolute, Shema, I will heed their cry, my anger will burn, and I will kill you with the sword. Your own wives will be widows, and your own children will be fatherless. That is a Mishpatim. So we see the Mishpatim is not just covering being careless. It's not about being clueless. It's saying if you remove the dignity and the respect and the rights and the honor that these individuals deserve and belong to them, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. Yes, hard words. Nobody wants to hear it. No, he loves us. No, you do this, I'm going to kill you. That's not a threat. That's a promise. That's not a threat. That's not an if. It's a when. So within the crown, we see splendor. What type of splendor, Akika? What are you talking about? I'm talking about this beauty, this majestic brilliance that I was able to see in the Torah that I want to share with you. There's splendor in the ox, the donkey, and the enemy that you find in chapter number 23. Yah wants to reveal to us, what his splendor is like. He wants to show us on how the king of the world sees things. And he wants to open our minds and our understanding that you think it's about a donkey. You think it's about an ox. You think it's about the enemy. Oh, praise be to Yahweh. It's not. They're just the tools that Yah is using. If you come upon your enemy's ox or donkey straying, you must return it to him. If you see the donkey, which belongs to someone who is hating you, lying down helpless under his load, you're not to pass him by, but go and help him free it. Now, with this, I left the words if there. Hebrew doesn't say if. This is not a possibility. It's not an if. It's not a maybe. In the Hebrew, it says when. So that means that it's going to happen. This will certainly happen. And why is it going to happen, Akika? What's the splendor? What's the beauty about this? It's about a response. The Most High is going to teach you and I what we need to do with an enemy. The Most High is going to teach you and I what we need to do with someone who's hating us. Okay? More specifically, those who are living in the community of Yah. This ain't talking about the enemies that you are living in their lands. This is talking about the enemies that are within your own community, the people who are part of your own family. That's who he's talking about. That's who he's talking about. The people that live underneath the majesty of Yah. Because this right here won't make sense to somebody that don't know Yah. That's where you and I are getting confused because we don't really know how to make a separation between the children of Israel and everybody else. Israel, there has to be a response. There's a response that demands for you and I to take a form of action. That's what the Mishpatim also calls for. And that is the splendor of it. So if you want to achieve the beauty, if you want to achieve the brilliance, if you want to achieve the magnificence of it, and you want to see it work, then you have to respond with action. Let's see how it works. Let's see how it works. The enemy, everyone, is the ox. The Most High is using the ox because he said, when the ox of your enemy has gone astray. The enemy is the ox. That's who the enemy is. And the reason why the Most High is using the ox, because the Most High is teaching through the ox. And what he's teaching is that the enemy has gone astray, has walked away, has erred, has gone off the path. Okay, check this out. The hater, because there are two of them. There's the enemy and there's a hater. See, one of your enemies, ox, is going astray, you bring them back. Hey, when it happens, it says when the donkey, when you see, when, not if, when you see the donkey of the one who's hating you. Okay? So the hater is the one who's hating. The hater is the donkey. The hater is the one who's overwhelmed. So it's not just an ox. It's just not the donkey. They're just they're symbolic of what they really mean, which is the enemy is the ox and the hater is the donkey. Our response means that you and I have a responsibility, and within the word responsibility is the word response and ability. You have the ability to do these two things that the Most High says, in my judgment, this is what I want you to do. There's a reason why the Most High wants us to take responsibility. Because this is what's demanded of you and I for the children of Israel, is to return and to help. Okay. And why? Why does he want you to return? What does the returning mean? Okay. When you and I return the ox, we're returning strength back to its owner, because that's what an ox represents. So what you're doing is you're strengthening him. You're giving him the strength to come back, because a person who errs off the way is generally weak. You're showing him by your strength of following Yah's Mishpatim that you're not there to continue to take him down like he's trying to take you down, or be an enemy to be against them. You're showing them that the Mishpatim is what causes me to be strong enough to strengthen you, to give you your strength back. Oh, that's powerful. I got to strengthen you. But when I follow the Mishpatim, I'm strong. Oh, praise be to Yahweh. The one who's not strong is the one who's left and gone astray, because they wouldn't be an enemy unless they left the way of Yah. Oh, praise be to Yahweh. Why help them? Why do I want you to help the donkey, which is the hater? Because the one who's hating you is the one who's bearing the burden. They're carrying around that burden of hating you. They're carrying sin around. They're carrying it. And I want you to help them to relieve the burden of them hating you. To what? What's the goal? The goal is to remind them of the Mishpatim and to bring them back to the Most High and to bring glory to the crown. That's the reason why the Most High wants us to follow the Mishpatim, so we can bring individuals back. The children of Israel who know who they are, who know what the laws are, bring them back so you can bring glory to the crown. It's not about glory to you. It's about bringing glory to the crown, bringing glory to the king, because the throne is established on Mishpat. This is a Mishpat. You understand? So when we follow the Mishpat, we're going to bring glory to the crown. We're saying to the Most High, we glorify you. Oh, praise be to Yahweh. Because why? We're taking responsibility. We're not being irresponsible. We're being responsible. Oh, praise be to Yahweh. Understand that Mishpatim is Kadosh. You found it in your Torah portion this week. It told you and I that we need to keep away from fraud. And do not cause the death of the innocent and righteous, for I will not justify the wicked. Kilo, atzdik rasha. Yah is saying to us that I will never justify. I will never make right the wicked. I will never make the wicked righteous. I need you to hear this. I will never make the wicked righteous. That justify means to me righteous. Zadik right here. He's telling us the wicked will never be made righteous by the death of an innocent and righteous person. I will not justify it. So the idea that the Most High is going to unalive or to kill an innocent individual who is righteous on your behalf and nail him on a cross or hang him from a tree or whatever else they want to say, the Most High says, I'm never making that person righteous. That's from the crown. That's from the king. You understand? Because the throne was established in righteousness and justice, and that right there is not righteous, and neither is it just. He will never make righteous a person who's wicked. Period. Because it would go against the thing. If you kill someone, he didn't say life for life. Oh, praise be to Yahweh. So when the New Testament tells you that, hey, you know, Christ came to die for the wicked, you're right. He did. He didn't come for the righteous. He came for the wicked. Okay. Psalms 94 tells you this. Can unjust judges be allied with you? Talking about Yah. Those producing wrong in the name of the law, can they do? The ones who say, hey, the Torah says this, but they're being unjust, right? So they band together against the righteous and condemn the innocent to death. Going back to that idea about someone who's innocent being condemned to death. Those individuals cannot be allied with Yah. You understand? Your Torah portion talked about these judges. It talked about how, if there was a situation needed to be resolved, you have to go to someone to pay the, to usher the fines or make sure that happened. Or, when it came to the guy or the owners who did not, train that ox and that ox ended up killing someone, they would have to bring a ransom for his life. If there was one that was set upon his life. But the judges at that time had to execute these rulings. They're the ones who are responsible for it. So in our case today, the question would be is whether or not you and I have judges to execute the Mishpatim. And the answer is no. But that's okay because the Most High wants us to know that there are no judges right now. Why? Because I'm coming to judge you. Yah is the judge. He's coming to judge. That's why it told us that, hey, all the earth be ready because he's coming to judge the earth. To judge him for what? For all the wrong that people are doing. All the innocent death that's been happening. That's going to be dealt with. He who justifies the wicked. Now hear this. He who justifies the wicked, who says that the wicked is righteous, and he who condemns the righteous, both alike are an abomination to Yahweh. Now ask yourself the question, is the Most High interested in hanging someone from a cross to justify the wicked? No. Because that's an abomination to the Most High. Anyone who condemns the righteous person is an abomination. So what he's saying is if you and I participate and we partake in the death of the innocent and we say, well, I'm going to look to that. I'm going to lean towards that as my judgment. For my judgment, I'm going to accept that judgment because to me, I think that's right. I think it sounds right to me versus what the Most High's judgments are. The Most High is not going to justify the wicked. He just told us that. Okay. So he's not going to, that's an abomination. It's disgusting to the Most High. So the Mishpatim is primarily dealing, you guys, with the corruption and injustice and the perversion about what's happening with humankind. Perversion and corruption and injustice is happening in relationships, whether it be in employment, whether it be in marriage, whether it be in relationships between friends, family members, whatever it may be. And so the judgments are there in order to rid the corruption and injustice. For example, could you take a loan? I mean, could you take a bribe? No, it's corruption. Could you take a donation just so you can make sure that you move someone in another direction? That's why donations are given to people, to move them, so they can have their cause done. Whether or not it would affect the poor in a different way, they don't care. Okay? The perversion here is the twisting of what the Most High said. So there won't be any justice. That's why he says the words of the individual who receives a bribe, it corrupts their speech. It perverts, it twists their speech. So now the words of righteousness is not coming out because it's been subverted with perversion. Therefore, you can't be just because you've been bought. You understand? The Hebrew word here, natah, primarily means that the Most High tells us that, look, There's certain things that I want you to do. Okay. First of all, Natah means to extend. It's about extending. And it can be extending the mind and the ears, but that can happen in a positive way and it can happen in a negative way. And let me explain. The Most High tells us do not extend justice, meaning don't spread out the justice too long. So if someone is coming to you because they have a complaint and an issue, and what you're doing is because they're poor and they don't really have a leg to stand on, and they're of high risk and they really can't buy themselves out of this and they have nothing to give you, what you do is you say, you know what, I'm gonna put that on the back burner. You go to the bottom of the pile. You're not going to the top. Even though you're in the middle, they're unimportant because they don't, so because you think they don't have any dignity, right? You don't respect them, you're going to go ahead and just prolong their case. Most High is saying don't do that. Don't do that. Don't hold anybody. Listen, don't hold anybody in a position in limbo. Don't do that. If you're not willing to help them and you're not willing to give them what they deserve, you're not willing to establish where they can keep their dignity, their honor, and their self-respect, you should let them go. You understand? If you can't do that, like the man who took the wife and he wasn't willing to give her the rights that she deserved, he needs to let her go. He needs to do that. You understand? So there shouldn't be any delay. So the Most High said, redeem her. Let her, she got to be redeemed from this dangerous situation. That's a negative. Here's a positive. The Most High is asking us, just like you can negatively extend something, what I want you to do is I want you to extend your mind. I want you to make space for your mind so you can use your ears. Your ears is indicative of someone with willingness. Like you saw with the servant who said, you know what, I love my master. And he would take him to the house of the high Elohim of the judges, and they would put his ear upon the doorpost or put it on the door, and then they would all use an awl to pierce his ear. Meaning that, hey, he's willing to listen, he's willing to obey, and it's because he loves me. Love is in exchange for service. And that's what the Most High is saying. So the Most High is asking us to extend our minds to him. Open up your ears, okay? Just like the mind that's listening to the case and they've been bribed, and so therefore they're shutting their ears. The ears are a gateway so you can find out what decision need to be made. Oh, praise be to Yahweh. The ears, everyone, as I've described before, and you know I've illustrated this, and I'll illustrate it again. Your ears again are the balance. They're the scales. If you look in Hebrew, your ears have to do with the scales of balance. That's where balance comes from, your equilibrium, right? So anything that's out of balance, you're going to fall. So these are your ears right here. What it's talking about is when your ears are hearing something, right? You're looking for balance. And balance means to be just. Okay? If you're being just, you're being equitable, you're being fair. You're not going to let what you hear on one, if you've took some cash on this side, what this is going to do is going to weigh this down, and then the justice will come up here and won't be balanced. You've been offset. You see? You've been offset. It's just a reverse of the 5 oxen, the 1 and the 5. So the Most High is saying you can't take any money or anything like that, or look at someone's person, or you can have some respect of persons. Because if you take that and you put that on that side of the scale, and then you have their claim over here, you've already been bought. So this money is outweighing what is be just, what their claim is. So if someone's making a claim, in order for us to be just, you have to be able to look at the claim and be fair in it. And just because you think that you got away with something doesn't mean that you got away with the Most High. And that's the danger. So when he's talking about extending our ears, he's talking about opening yourself up to make sure that you're balanced. And you do that through your thought process. And you do that through a willingness to extend, to hear it, and to be just in it. You see? Because that's what it is. Because this is what we're going to be judged on. Okay? Here is what Yahweh, the powers of Israel, says. When I brought your ancestors out of the land of Egypt where they lived as slaves, I made this covenant with them. This is found in your Haftarah. Very important. He says, as at the end of 7 years, because this is the covenant. Okay? So let me just pause for a second. When he says that this is the covenant I made with them, right? So let's go back to what he said. He said, I made a covenant with them. I made a covenant with them. Go back here. Okay. So check this out. I want you to see this. I don't want you to get lost in this because this is what's very important. We haven't been taught properly. Okay. This is the purpose of studying. I make this covenant. Right. So what we know about the covenant is we say, well, that's the 10 words. Right? I made a covenant and we stop. That's not all the covenant. The covenant includes the Mishpatim. This is the reason why you and I cannot afford to be religious and churchy. Because if we're religious and churchy, we'll miss the message. The message is that the covenant includes the Mishpatim. Because what he says next is this. At the end of 7 years, every one of you is to set free his brother. Hebrew. Right? So it's an Ivri or Ivriyah. Okay? So a female is an Ivriyah. A male is an Ivri. Okay? So you're supposed to set free brother Hebrew, who has been sold to you and served you for 6 years. You are to let him go free from you, right? So with no reluctancy, no hesitation, no ulterior motives, for nothing. There's no excuses, nothing. Okay. But your ancestors did not listen to me or pay attention to what? To my covenant. So what you and I read this week in the Mishpatim is part of the covenant. So the Most High is going to judge us according to the covenant. Okay. So this idea to free his brother, I want to deal with that for a second. Okay. What he's talking about is to cause the individual to have what you would say self-determination. Okay. To be free, and I'm not going to go into Hebrew too much on it, but give you the name and all that, just to let you know what free means. It literally means to discover the unknown. That's what it means, to discover the unknown. Okay. What it means is when you and I are in subjection and we're not free, I need you to hear me. That means that you're not able to make decisions for yourself. You have no self-determination. You're not making plans. Your choices are not yours. They're governed by someone else. You see? So he's saying when you and I don't let them go, okay? And you say, well, I don't have a Hebrew slave. I don't have a Hebrew Ivri. I don't have to Kofashi the Ha-Ivri. I don't have one. You really think like the ox and the donkey, you don't think the Most High is trying to express to us what he's looking for? He's letting us know that how he sees his people is a people who's supposed to have self-determination, okay? And they're supposed to be free, okay, to discover the unknown. As long as they're subjugated under other people, they cannot see. They're not going to be able to do what they need to do, okay? And for you and I, he said, your ancestors didn't listen to me. They didn't pay attention, which is part of his covenant, okay? He says, now you've repented. You did what was right? Because at this time in context, they were being invaded by Babylon and they were going to be destroyed. And, King Kizki Yahu, meaning Yah is our righteousness, right? The king that was in place right there is called Kizki, okay? Or Zidki Yahu. That's his name. His name means Yahweh is my righteousness, right? As a king. So you got to take that into account. So Most High said, I'm going to do this and that. He listened to the Most High. He gave out an edict. He gave out what they call a decree, which is called a Pithgam. And a Pithgam means, hey, I'm going to give you a decree. Let everybody know what it is. They did. So they repented. So he's saying, you guys did what was right from my viewpoint. And Jeremiah's delivering this message to the king. He said, and when each of you proclaim freedom, right, to his fellow, meaning give them self-determination, allowing them to, have their lives. And, you made a covenant before me in my house, in the house bearing my name. So they made a covenant. Before I go any further, I want you to understand something about our people. People are stuck on the fact that you would think that there is no other covenant that could be made to Yah. The leaders and the king made a covenant before Yahweh, bearing his name, right, at this time, at this house. Okay. So they had the people in place. They had the king, they had the priests, they had the leaders, they had the officials, they had it all. So people are saying, well, there's no other additional promises that could be made to the Most High. They're in error. You can make, when you have the proper leadership and the nation is gathered back together, everything is set in place, you and I as a people can make a covenant before the Most High, and he'll hold you to that. So just like he holds the children of Israel to whatever they swear in his name, he's saying, you guys made a covenant before me. You did what was right, right? So you have the ability to do that, but something happened. But then you changed your minds. So when you changed your minds, right, you profaned my name. When each of you took back his male or female slaves, right? So they're going against the covenant. When you had set free to live as they wished, and you brought them back into subjugation or subjection as your slaves, meaning subjugation, meaning that you've conquered them again. You took away their ability. You destroyed them. Okay, so they don't tell you here subjection. You think it's a nice, easy word. No, subjugation. You conquered them as you're conquering a people. You took away their liberty. You took away their freedom. Going back to when you heard the shofar sounding on Mount Sinai, the Most High caused that sound because it was a yovel. It was a blow of the shofar to symbolize freedom to the children of Israel from their oppression. You see? So here they changed their minds. This is what they did. Okay. And there's a cost. So instead of extending their ear and being open to it, they heard what he said and then they changed their minds. When they changed their minds, the Most High said this. Therefore, here's what Yahweh says. You did not heed me. Okay. So you didn't Shema and proclaim freedom, each to his brother and each to his neighbor. So now I proclaim for you a freedom. Okay. Measure for measure, says Yahweh. For sword, plague, and famine. This is what he saw. And the reason for this is because they put these people in subjugation. So now what he's going to do is he's going to put them in subjugation and he's going to destroy them. He's going to bring them to ruin. Because those are the elements that are used for that. I will make you an object of horror to all the kingdoms on the earth. See? So when we change our minds, there's going to be consequences. If the Most High has told us what his covenant is, and the reason why he's sharing this in the Haftarah is so you and I can understand something about the Most High. He's letting us know, if I gave you a covenant, which I did, and you gave it to your ancestors, they didn't listen to me. The moment you and I decided that we're going to do what he says, and you changed your mind, because you have the right to change. You can go positive or you can go negative. If any moment you decide that you're going to change your mind about doing what I said, you profaned my name. And what's going to happen to you is you're going to bear the consequence of that. Because that's what Mishpatim is, okay? Because Mishpatim is part of the covenant. So if you violate the Mishpatim, like the parents, the slaves, taking a bribe, prolonging someone's case, disrespecting your elders, cursing, a prince or elder, any of those kind of things, you're done. Okay. As for the men who violated my covenant by not living up to the conditions of the covenant, okay, which they made in my presence when they cut the calf into two and passed between its parts, because that's how covenants were made, right? So when you cut a calf, you cut it into two pieces. And what you're saying is, let happen to this calf to the individual who doesn't keep the covenant. So if the calf is cut in half, that means we're going to cut you in half. You're going to be slaughtered. Okay. The leaders of Yehuda, the leaders of Jerusalem, the officials of the Kohanim, and all the people of the land who passed between the parts of the calf. So they took part of that, just like the children of Israel when they heard the covenant of the Most High. As you noticed in your Torah portion in chapter number 24, Moshe wrote all of it down. Listen, he wrote down the words that you and I are reading today, and he put it in a manual. He took the manual and he brought it and presented it before the people. Okay. The people looked at it and they read it and they understood it, and he explained it to them, and he said, everything he said we'll do. That's the second time. First time is when he, made the offer. Second time, yeah, I'll do everything. So he presented them with the writings and they say, we'll do it. So he got the bulls. People went out there, he splashed the blood on sprinkled on the people and then splashed it on the altar. Same thing here. So they're making a covenant with the Most High. So the Most High is serious about his covenant. That's what he's telling us.
So I will hand them over to their enemies. Okay. Not the enemies in their community, the enemies that are outside. Okay. And hand them over to those who seek their lives. And their corpses will become food for the birds in the air and wild animals. Going back to the ideal, hey, I'll kill you. I don't have a problem giving your body to the birds for food and for wild animals. Don't have a problem with that. You guys have a problem with it, right? Because we're human. We're like, hey, that seems cruel. No, what you do will determine your outcome. Okay. So what is the Most High letting us know? He's telling us that he's serious about his covenant. Here's the final proclamation. Okay. This is the final proclamation. We started off talking about what the Most High is going to do, how he's coming, right? So now what he's saying is in the Psalms, worship Yahweh in set apart splendor. Okay. The worshiping of Yahweh in set apart splendor is not just singing to the Most High. The worship of Yah is to be inherent to what is set apart and which is beautiful, which is the laws, which is the Mishpatim. Okay. It tells us to tremble before him, all the earth. This is a prophetic preview about what's going to happen, still within the same series that I told you from chapter number 92 all the way to chapter number 99. That from there all the way up to 99, you will see that this is telling you and making a proclamation to the world and the earth that Yah is coming. So he's saying, tremble before him, all the earth, right? Say among the nations, Yah is king, right? So the nations haven't said this. They haven't said Yah is king. When his set apart splendor comes and when the earth is shaking, when there's lightning and there's fire, then they're going to be able to say Yah is king because he's what? I'm bringing judgment. It says the world is firmly established, immovable. He will judge the peoples fairly. Because Yah is the judge of all the earth. So when you read this week about Mishpatim, about his judgments, and now you're reading in the Psalms about him being judging the people, he's letting you know that I'm coming because of the Mishpatim. Let the heavens rejoice, right? So everything in the heavens, which is the sun, moon, and the stars. Let the earth be glad. Why? Let the sea roar and everything in it. Why? Because he created it. The fields exult in all that is in them. Why? Because he created it. Then all the trees in the forest will sing before Yahweh. The trees are going to start singing because he has come. He has come to judge the earth. He will judge the world rightly. It's in righteousness with the mishpat and all the peoples and the peoples with his faithfulness. He's going to be faithful to the mishpat. And if you and I are faithful to the mishpat, then we will be able to say this. Last week, I told you about what you should say to the Most High. I told you to write it down. And I want you to write this down too. You already know what Eshma means, and you don't know what Eshmar means too, from your last time. Now I'm giving you some few more extra words because I want you to say this. Eshma el et ha mishpatim. That's the first line. Somebody tell me what Eshma means. What does Eshma mean?
I will.
I will what? Shema.
Hear.
I will hear and I will obey. Okay. I'm going to obey. And this El means to. Okay. So in here and obey, and I will listen. So what am I going to do? I'm going to hear, obey, which means I'm going to listen. I'm going to extend my ear because Eshma has to do with your ear. Okay. Listen. The Shema here has to do with hearing, which is your ear. Okay. So I'm going to extend my ear. Right. So what? To, that's the L, right? Et. This is an arrow pointing to Ha, meaning the. And you know what Mishpatim is, judgments. So what you're saying to the Most High is, I will listen to the Ha Mishpatim. I'm going to listen to it. The reason why you and I are going to listen to the El et Ha Mishpatim, okay, is because if you don't listen to it, you're going to be guilty. Okay. The listening is obeying. So when you say Eshma, I'm going to obey the Ha Mishpatim. I'm going to do that. Today you're supposed to have found out what it means. I'm going to obey what I heard. I'm going to obey about fairness and equity. I'm going to make sure that I stay far away from fraud. I'm going to make sure that I have nothing to do with someone innocent being, killed. I'm going to do what he says. I'm not going to extend any justice is supposed to go to someone because they're poor. I'm going to have respect to persons. Okay. After you commit to that and you write that down, you're going to write this and add this to it. Eshmar. The shamar means to guard. And this et right here is just an arrow. That's all it means is an arrow. I'm pointing to the ha mishpatim. Then I got an extra word, la Yahweh. The la means to Yahweh. Or for Yahweh. Okay. So Eshmar et ha mishpatim, la Yahweh. La, the sound, la, just from the letter L. La, just like you already know what the L sound is, la Yahweh. Okay. So these are your little phrases you're going to say this week. Okay. And what we're doing is we're programming, I will. I'm going to do this. I'm going to listen. I'm going to obey. I'm going to guard. Why does the Most High want you to guard this? Why does he want you to guard the Hamishpatim? I want you to guard it because it is connected to what? It's connected to the crown. It's connected to Yah's kingship. And the Most High said that I gave it to your family. I gave it to you. It's a gift to you. So it can prevent you from being destroyed. It helps you to live. When I say Most High said that he gave us his laws, and it brings life to whoever listens to it, he's letting us know that you're going to find life in it because the Mishpatim is about preserving life. That's what it's about. It's about preserving your life. Okay? It's about preserving the life of the land and how it's supposed to be the life of the animals. It's all in there. Okay? So Eshmar et taha mishpatim la Yahweh, the Eshma the et the el et taha mishpatim. Okay? Which are the judgments, the rulings of the Most High. So he wants you to learn how to guard and listen to his rulings. That takes a commitment. If you're going to do it, do it. If you're not going to do it, don't do it. Because I'm not your judge. I'm just here to share information so you can understand what the children of Israel are expected to do. The crown is heavy. But you and I have to guard it. We have to guard. And you guard it through the Torah. You guard it through the Haftarah. You guard it through the Psalms. That's how we're going to guard it. This is bigger than you and I. This has to do with the glory and the majesty of the Most High. That's what's important. That is paramount. It's the most important thing. Is the crown. If we talk about the king, right? But remember the crown, the majesty that sits on the head of the king, right? The authority. Think about the crown. Okay? Think about that. That tells everything. The crown says kingdom. The crown says dominion. The crown says the king. The crown says the realm. The crown says majesty. The crown speaks volumes. So remember the crown. Remember the Mishpatim. Because everything that we read in Psalms 92 all the way up to 99, all it kept saying is Yah is king. The king is coming. Yah is the king. Yah is the king. His throne was established on righteousness and justice, or what they would call righteousness and mishpat. That's why the crown is there, because we haven't been told. Okay, so now we know. Okay, so this is your reading. This is your study. This is what you need to do this week.
Hey, Akika, can you put that on the screen again real quick so I can snapshot that?
Absolutely. Let me pull it up for you one more time. Praise Yahweh. Can you see it?
Yes. Oh, just give me one second.
Yeah. So
All right.
Exodus chapter number 25, verse number 1 to chapter number 27, verse number 19. Haftarah will be the book of Isaiah, chapter number 66, the whole entire chapter. Okay, take notes. And Psalms is going to be 119 all the way to chapter 150. And then you're going to start all over again, go chapter number 1 to chapter number 9. All right. Yes, Sister Eve. Koti.
Thank you, Akika, for such a brilliant message today, particularly having to delve into what is in scroll to help us understand the watered down version of the commercial Bible. My question is regarding Exodus chapter 24, verse 10, where it states,